Hey guys, welcome back to the Deal Finders podcast, and we have a special podcast for you today. It's just me, so we're going to do some more of these where it's just me instead of doing the interviews and bringing other guests on. I want to have an opportunity to kind of share what's happening in our lives, in our business, and our community here, so that you can get a better feel for what's going on there, and hopefully we can be more targeted and help you with your journey. So. Stay tuned. Today's message, today's podcast is going to be about wealth and what is that and where are we going with that. All right. So buckle up. Let's roll. All right, guys, we are here. Like I said, we're talking about wealth. And this came up because, well, we are having a wealth builders workshop, a 2-day event in Columbia. So if you guys are local, if you're anywhere around here, you can make it. You don't have to really be in South Carolina, but pretty easy to drive here if you are in South Carolina. So that's coming up. And we do these workshops like once a year for this type, and then we do a flipping workshop at another part of the year. So this is the only time we're going to do this. And if you're catching this podcast later, you can still go to the website and see when the next one will be, which is wealthbuildersworkshop.com. Of course, I'll put the link here for you. But the reason I decided to do this podcast is because it's just strange. Maybe the way the Lord works is last night at dinner, Reynolds actually said, and these are his words, he said, those people are wealthy. And y'all, it took me back for a second. I said, well, wait a second. What do you mean they're wealthy? And so, he's 10, 11. How old is he? He's 11. Reynolds, I'm sorry, couldn't remember. He's 11 years old, and so in my mind, what does he really know? What does wealth mean to him? So my first instinct was, what do you mean wealthy? Can you define it? Tell me what makes you think they're wealthy. And then, I'm about to teach 2-day workshop on this, and it dawned on me, what do I mean by wealthy? What is it that I'm calling wealthy? So the definition is not clearly defined out there, and I know how I define it, but where is it defined out in the public, right? What does Google say about it? So of course I went to Google and I went to the Oxford Dictionary, and I'll read that out, which is basically saying an abundance of valuable possessions or money, the state of being rich. So plentiful supplies or resources, right? So you're rich in resources, could be rich in time, health, whatever. So, that was a eye-opening moment of, I don't really know what the, dictionary definition is. And I can tell you how I define wealth and how we've defined it in the business, which is having our assets be able to pay for living. So having our assets generate income, cash flowing income. So that was the way I kind of defined the wealth. And as I looked further into it, and of course I actually just did a class on this, which we recorded this one, about the BRRRR process, which is buying, rehabbing, renting, and then refinancing property to build wealth. Well, what we did when Michelle and I first got started was we set a goal. We said, hey, if we can get our assets to pay our cash flows so that we could retire, quit our jobs, that would be wealth, right? That would be where we wanted to be. So that was, for example, if we needed $5,000 a month to pay bills, if we had our assets generating that much income through rental properties and stuff like that. So that was wealth for in my brain and my definition. So I'm asking Reynolds, and he says, of course, as an 11-year-old would, well, they have this car, they have that car, they have this car, they have a big house, they're always on trips or something like that, which I don't even think that was what he said. But the idea is he's looking at it, their outward projection of wealth, which in my definition, that shows rich. And that's what I explained to him. I said that looks like they are rich. And so him and the other kids were like, well, what's the difference? What do you mean? And so I went to the Oxford Dictionary for what is rich, which is having a great deal of money or assets, and then wealthy, right? So they actually define rich as being wealthy. And I just can't, I have a difference of opinion. I draw a line in between the two, and I say it's not necessarily the same. I feel like you can be rich, but not wealthy. Now, typically, if you're wealthy, you could be rich, right? So unless it's like an inherited wealth, you may not be rich at all because you may not have access to those assets. The difference between the two is when, if someone were rich, they have plentiful things, material things. They're spending the resources. The money is liquid and it's moving and it's buying, is consuming, right? So that's rich in my mind. You could have an inherited wealth, but you can't touch it. So, for example, our kids, life insurance and things like that, if something were to happen to us, they won't be able to touch that wealth, the assets and resources until certain age and, certain things that they have to do. So, yeah, they might be wealthy, but they certainly won't be living rich, until they get to that point, until they have access to the wealth. So that's the difference, and that's where I think sometimes the line is blurred. And so as I'm going into this 2-day class preparing for teaching about building wealth through real estate, talking about apartments, the BRRRR process, single-family investing, small apartments, big apartments, commercial, things that are generating long-term wealth, generational wealth that will last. The goal of that 2-day class is not talking about being rich and how do we go flip a house and get $70,000 income today. No, the goal of the wealth building is how do we make a long-term asset sustain us and provide income in the future and long-term asset growth. And that's where I believe there's a difference. So what does that mean for you guys? What does that mean for you if you're listening? You're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just trying to get a deal done, right? So we're, out, all my deal finders out there trying to find their first deal. What I'm saying is that there's two paths into this business, and when I say two, there's a lot more, but there's two ways to break it down to figure out where you are today. So today's lesson, if you will, is figure out where you are. Are you trying to generate wealth? Are you trying to build something that's going to be long-term and generational, or, something that maybe you start today because you want to have access to this capital, these assets, the cash flow in 5 years? Think about retirement coming soon, if you're close to it, or if you're 30 years away from retirement. If you start building wealth now so that in retirement you have access to the riches, quote, riches, of those assets, right? So when you're starting out in real estate, if you're brand new, you don't have any capital to invest, you're just trying to get a deal so that you can change your trajectory, change your family's trajectory, maybe get into get out of a job you don't like, or a dead-end job, or something that's not paying you what your true value is, which is just about most jobs today. Then that might be a different conversation. So if you're trying to earn income, right? So working for a paycheck, working for income in real estate, you're going and making decisions differently than if you're looking for long-term wealth. Okay, so figuring out where you are, and if y'all need help with that, I'm happy to do a quick 15-minute call with you. Chat with andrewlucas.com/15. Do that. Just go there, pick a time and date, and we'll chat about maybe what are your next steps. What bucket are you going for? If you're looking for that income, right, earned income, you're looking for the deals, and you're looking for people that you could help, sellers you can help. If they need access to a buyer or something creative, you can help them. And then how do you exit that and make your income event, right? How do you make your income event, revenue event happen quickly? that's earned income. So the things that we talk about would be like wholesaling, which in South Carolina, can't really do that anymore. So go be a deal finder and figure it out. You can still help your sellers and you still help in buyers. It's just a little bit different, right? You need to be working as partners, not as assignment contracts or, that old quote bird dog type. So wholesaling, being a deal finder, going out doing fix and flips if you can, some creative financing where you can get the deal on the MLS, maybe like a hotel. Okay, so those are your earned income strategies. And then your wealth building strategies would be the rental property, long-term buy and hold, capitalizing on appreciation, depreciation for taxes, rent income, and then debt pay down, right? So buy and hold, single family, multifamily, going into your apartments. These also will generate income today, right? You don't have to, these are not exclusive. You don't have to just go get the long-term rental and not get any cash today. You can, and actually that's how we were able to quit our jobs and do this business, because we had to get our income today from rental property. So you can do that all the while building wealth. So it's not separate, but it is a different target for when you're going out and talking about real estate, okay? So I know this is confusing. I know that if you're brand new, you're like, what are you talking about? Where do I go from here? If you want to come learn more about wealth building, growing your asset base, having wealth, your assets pay for your earned income, have your assets pay for your lifestyle or pay for your generation, the next generation, your legacy, pay for their lifestyle. That's where we're having our 2-day event. It's coming up. Go to the website. We'll have a link here so that you can come and learn more about that. If you're brand new and you don't really know where you are, you can come. Just come figure out how to evaluate the wealth building assets. We will go through small apartments. What does it mean? How do you evaluate? What's the due diligence of evaluating a small apartment complex? Same with a single family rental or a duplex. How do we decide if this is a good wealth building property to invest in, right? It's different than seeing if it's a good flip, right, for earned income. That's what we're going to talk about. We're also talking about larger apartment complexes. Does it make sense for you if you are rich today, right? You have income, you have savings or investment capital that you need to deploy for a higher rate of return. Does it make sense for you to go buy an apartment complex, or does it make sense for you to join in to a partnership, a limited partner, general partner, as a lender to build your wealth through real estate? Okay, so we'll talk about that as well. This is the wealth building 2-day workshop that is going to be just totally in depth on that. We will go through a ton in 2 days. So if that interests you, if that's where you are, if that's what you think your next step is, you should definitely come and check that out. But for today's podcast, I just want to leave this with you guys, that you need to define what it is that you're looking for. Are you looking for earned income, something to live off of today, to buy your groceries, buy your gas, pay the light bill, right? That's your earned income. Fix and flip, wholesale, creative into a hotel, something like that. Quick revenue events, okay? But if you're trying to build wealth, you put that revenue event out a little longer, and you could buy your single-family rentals, duplexes, triplexes, small apartments, big apartments, commercial buildings, okay? So where are you today? And if you need help with that, let me know. I'd love to have a chat with you. Check us out. It's dealfindersclub.com. We have all the resources there. Check out the YouTube channel. If you're not watching me here, you can go there and watch this podcast and all the other ones as well. Look forward to seeing you at our next event. If you are anywhere near here, y'all, we do events every single week, just about. And we also have some online learning resources. So let us know if you need any of that. Look forward to helping you generate generational wealth at our 2-day workshop. And if it's not that, we look forward to helping you build your real estate business where you are and where you need to be. All right. So let me know if I can help you in any other way. And until then, go be a deal finder. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the REI Deal Finders podcast. You can find out more and apply to be a part of the REI Deal Finder community at reidealfinders.club.